Hey, it's end of the world time, and welcome to this week's episode. We're going to talk if things went in a little bit different direction today, instead of machines taking over and being a very important part of the future. What would happen if our machines suddenly broke down? Not just your TV set or your car, but everything. It wouldn't exactly kill us on the spot. But we could agree on one thing. It would be pretty apocalyptic. Weirdest of all, the machine apocalypse could happen for real. Surprise, surprise, surprise! Suddenly you see a sharp blue flash shooting across the sky, and the next moment, everything goes dead. Well, not everything. You're still alive and doing fine. And there are also other people, as well as animals and plants. But your machines, they're all dead. Dead as doornails. If you're by car, train, subway, ship, or an airplane, it grinds to a halt, which is of course rather inconvenient if you happen to be sitting in the airplane. If you're listening to music, it just suddenly stops. If you're gaming, guess what? Game over. Computer screens go black, lights pop out, factories stop, and an eerie silence falls upon the civilized world. And it's permanent. Television sets that aren't even turned on give off an eerie glow, then go dark forever. Computers lose their data and get roasted from the inside. MP3 players and cell phones all heat up and then die. Telephone wires just melt. Power stations give off a fountain of sparks and then fall silent forever. And you don't want to be wearing a pacemaker at the time. All of that stops as well. Now, isn't that just lovely? There you are in your civilized world, and suddenly you're stumbling about in the dark. The only way to go someplace is on foot. Basic stuff like clocks, refrigerators, boilers, washing machines, and lights will never work again. Pretty soon your tap will stop delivering water, your money will run out, and the shops will all be empty. The economy grinds to a halt, throwing you back into the Middle Ages, and no way you're going to dial 911 or email your congressman. Better use a homing pigeon from now on. What you've just witnessed is what is known as an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP. Perhaps some wicked genius detonated an EMP weapon high up in the atmosphere, or perhaps some star nearby violently exploded. Whatever the cause, the effect is the same. The atmosphere is flooded with exceptionally highly charged light particles called photons. The photons smash into the atoms that make up the atmosphere and will knock out their electrons. That's the flash of light you see. Suddenly a huge cloud of electrons come surging down, much like a ridiculously large bolt of lightning. The electrons demolish everything that is electric. Everything with circuitry in it or wiring in it turns into a foul-reeking porridge of molten plastic and short-circuited wires. Indeed, EMPs can be that nasty. The calculations show that a large enough EMP going off high in the atmosphere should be able to knock out every machine in Europe or the U.S. If a large stellar explosion floods the atmosphere with supercharged protons, it can get even worse. The dreaded machine killer may even affect more than half the globe and end all of mankind. As a matter of fact, there is some concern terrorists may be able to disrupt the West using a very large electromagnetic pulse bomb. Indeed, EMP weapons are cheap to make, but don't get paranoid. You'd have to be one good whiz-kid terrorist to achieve it. Oh, and what they don't tell you is that the only country that has used E-bombs in combat already is the U.S. During the war in Iraq, the U.S. Army dropped several of these E-bombs on the power stations and television stations, and it worked. So anyways, back to our neighborhood, where the electric pulse just happened. It's difficult to tell what would happen next. With luck, some machines would survive. Devices running on batteries or machines that were turned off during the blast have a far better chance for survival. And of course, diesel engines and steam powering machines wouldn't be affected, although you may be unable to operate them without the electric circuitry that's usually needed to run them. For transport, you may wish to use a horse or a bicycle with no light, and you may be relieved to find that the hammer, screwdriver, and other basic working tools are still in tip-top condition. At least you could try to build up society again by hand. So in the end, we should survive, but not without a terrible crisis. Just read how one of our cozy viewers puts it. or I'll read one of our cozy readers puts it. We will have no food. We will have no clothing. We will have no access to the information needed to make that food and clothing. The ending will be sudden and complete. If air systems are needed, the deaths will come in minutes. If water is needed, deaths will come in agonizing days. If food is needed, death will pay a visit only after several excruciating weeks. People escaping the clutches of the machine will not be able to cope with an environment that doesn't pamper to them anymore. They will die clutching the remotes that they used to make them. They used to make the machine do what they wanted and needed. They will die hungry, thirsty, filthy, and cold. Well, we don't really know how big the danger is. We only had electric wiring for a mere 150 years, a tiny fraction of the planet's history. No one knows how many times the Earth has been hit by immense EMPs from outer space already. And come to think of it, it gets even worse. A large EMP isn't the only thing that is capable of shutting down our machines. Perhaps a simple technical failure can do the trick too. That's less silly than it sounds. We live in an ever more connected world with ever more connected machines. That makes us vulnerable to power failures, computer bugs, system malfunctions, and other stuff like that. Take the infamous Northeast blackout of 2003. No less than 50 million people in the U.S. and Canada suddenly found themselves without electricity. And the cause? For crying out loud, it was a humble tree that gently touched some power lines in Canada. Now that's encouraging. If something simple as a tree can put 50 million people in the dark. Or consider the Millennium Bug. No one will ever know what would have happened if the computer experts hadn't taken precautions. But the forecasts were bad. On 1/1/2000, computer systems were supposed to go berserk. Bank accounts would empty themselves, databases would be lost, power stations would fail, nuclear missiles would decide to launch themselves. Gladly, all this didn't happen. But what if someone released a computer virus which, say, told our computers it's the year 3000? As one of the viewers puts it, thought automation is coming, and coming fast. Home automation is here already. I'll bet it's pricey and unreliable for now, but will improve by leaps and bounds quickly. Internet-connected everything. Everything's are being sold everywhere. And we're even taking baby steps into the fully automated factories and fully automated transportation systems. You really don't want to know how planes are guided these days. And sometime within the next century, the turning point will come. We will become so dependent upon machines that their very absence would kill us.